And we're live with our September viewing from from SeptumSin versus the world. Jacob doesn't remember much of what he saw in September. So I'm going to let him cover the Inside Movies Galore stuff in a little bit.
Okay.
Because you were there for all of them. I was there for a good portion of them. We had I'll talk about a couple of those, but I'm going to run up and get food while he talks that. So for the first bit, I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
And then in the middle, you'll take over. Matter of fact, I'll let you start with the animu from that when we take over. That way I can be upstairs and not hear your spoiler territory stuff.
Spoiler territories.
So I'm just going to start. I watched Scalps for our Schlockaholics, which is getting more and more take up. Matter of fact, our recent episode had Chris Sievert on it from when we did Death of Lantern 1 and 2. And he directed the two movies, so it's kind of cool having him on there. So that was kind of a cool episode. So that's the recent one. But we did our Scalps, which was our second. Was it third? I think it was I don't know. It was one of the early episodes we did. It was September episode. I want to say it was Mo's. Yeah, it was Mo's first choice. It was the third episode we did for the series. And it was fun. I really liked it. I was surprised. Scalps is about this ancient Indian burial ground type place. And these archaeologists go there. One of them gets possessed by one of the Indians there who's PO'd. So he starts scalping everybody. So, there you go. Scalps. Sure. It's pretty decent for what it is. The next one, I watched the Dragon World 2 because I was trying to catch up. This month was about me catching up to a lot of used stuff. So it's a lot of varied stuff on this. Really, it was Dragon World The Legend Continues, which is out of print. And they had a copy on eBay for $2 at Dave Point Out, so I bought it. And then I had gotten the remastered version of the original Dragon World. So I watched Dragon World, which is about this kid who finds this baby dragon because his parents died. So he had to move out to, I can't remember whether it was Ireland or Scotland. But I think it was Scotland. So he ended up, having this dragon come in, and they see that he's got a dragon. Now he's an adult, so they offer him the money to, pay the taxes on the castle that he's living in. And then the dragon goes to this thing called Dragon World, where they create a theme park around the dragon. But then they realize that having a live dragon in a theme park is probably not a good idea. And the end. It's a kid's film.
Yeah.
Then there's Dragon World The Legend Continues, which kind of takes place in between, where the kid moves and he's got this kind of the babyish dragon, and the dragon's growing up, and the father dies, and then he has to be then the adoption center wants to take him away, and when the father figure dies, he ends up summoning this evil Black Knight, which causes most people to die. And the Black Knights have to kill all the dragons and stuff, and they take out the Black Knight and stuff. And it really wasn't all that great, but it was a decent enough kids film. The first one, I can see that being a children's classic. It was fun. The animatronics of the dragon were pretty cool. I did like it, but have you heard of Dragon World?
I think so, but not. I don't know much about it.
Then Kim and I finished Eli Roth's History of Horror, which is a really fun series. It dives into the depths of different types of horror types like body horror, witches, madness, apocalypse, all sorts of cool things. And it really was fun. I really enjoyed it. You got to see a lot of people on. Jack Black was on there for a couple of things. It was a really fun take. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well worth the time to watch it. If you haven't gotten to it yet, You should watch Eli Roth's History of Horror. I think that they've got it coming out on physical media, which is cool, but it's also on Shudder if you stream. Then I watched Scalps 2, which I found out that was an extra on the Scalps Blu-ray I got. And that was one of Dustin Ferguson's early projects. It was a short film. And it wasn't all that memorable, but then again, I still have yet to see one that I'm really in love with Dustin Ferguson. I'm sure I will eventually, but Scalps 2 I was not. It was a cute little fan short film. All right. Now, when I saw that, I know you saw, I think you saw in theaters, didn't you? Thor: Love and Thunder?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know.
Well, potential spoilers there. It takes the third Thor film and runs with that aspect of comedy to the point where when it was trying to be serious, it was hard to take it serious. Which was, I guess, the big thing that most people didn't like. But you got to have the female Thor, which was because, he has those acts. And so the love interest doctor picked up the hammer and became the female Thor. And they started off with him traveling with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was fun. And you got to see Thor basically finding his place in the world after the events of, the first big storyline. And it was okay. It was a fun film. wasn't as great as I'd say it was probably better than the second Thor film, but that's not saying much, is it? I would put it probably. Out of the Thor films, I'd say the third one would be my favorite, then the first one, then the fourth one, which is this one, and then the second one. That's right, Kat. I said it. I said it. I'm surprised you usually you try to keep up really heavy.
I really wanted to, but that one has been a victim of, I just didn't feel like going to the theaters. I just didn't have money for it. And then my brother that I would have been watching it with decided to just go and watch it on his own. And then trying to find time where I could watch it without everyone else kind of wanting to use the TV it's annoying.
Well, the next one on my list is a film called The Creeps, which is one that Mo gave me a nice little full moon care package. And essentially, it's about this guy who takes these old novels and is able to synthesize them and brings back all the classic Hollywood monsters as little people versions of them. Because they didn't have enough virgin juice. So they had to go and get more virgin juice, and essentially that was the whole of it. It's actually not bad. It was enjoyable.
Do they use real virgins for their virgin juice?
I don't know. I never asked the actors their sexual history at the time, but they definitely were fun at playing this. And I did like that you have the guy who's the detective in it. Runs his detective base out of a video store. That alone is cool. Let's see. Then Decadent Evil, which is a vampire movie about these vampire strippers. One of the vampires is in love with this human, and also there is a vampire hunter, little person, who also played Dracula in The Creeps, and he is trying to hunt down the vampire mama who's looking at her like if she sucks the blood of X number of people, she becomes immortal, and she's like 10 away or something like that. And apparently, Vampire Hunter's father was her lover until he cheated on her, so she turned him into an imp, which is your full moonful connection. And so Vampire Hunter boyfriend and vampire who's in love with the boyfriend fight vampire strippers.
Sounds fun. Sounds rather decadent.
It was very fun. And then Kim and I worked together. We finished a game called The Quarry.
Mm-hmm.
The Quarry is one of those kind of choose your own adventure style games, adventure games, that you play as this group of camp counselors, and they decide to overstay their welcome, where they have to deal with evil rednecks, werewolves, and other spooky features. And your choices in the story will decide whether they live, die, get cursed, stay human, all those things. So it's all fun, I think. Cody. Hey.
Howdy, Cody.
Yeah, we were just talking about our recent episode, so it's great to hear from you. So I think that it was a good one. I liked the game. It was fun. We need to play it again. It's just it takes so long to go through it. And all the prompts, we could go through it for a long time. All right, let's see here. Then I watched finally Chippendale Rescue Rangers, which you watched and talked about previously.
Yep.
It's one of the new Disney films. And it was fun, very tongue-in-cheek. I felt like it was trying to be kind of Roger Rabbit for the modern age.
Which I was amazed at some of the stuff they were able to get in there. Well, like in terms of just the people, the characters that showed up.
It's got one of my favorite. I got a cameo in there for Ant-Man for this year because I thought it was great because he's his movie series Ant-Man, which I did like that, and some very fun stuff there. I think that it's going to be. I think it flew a little bit too much under the radar.
Yeah,
but it might show up in this year's Versus Awards.
I'm sure it will, at least a little bit.
All right, so I watched an anime, so I can get a foreign language feature out and an anime. Yes.
Yeah, they had Randy in it. Yeah.
I agree. It was indeed just in general fun.
Okay, although I have to say, Cody, phrasing. I like that phrasing. Anyway,
but I liked that one. I watched Drifting Home, and Drifting Home was fun. I think you'll like that one. It's another Netflix anime.
I have to look it up.
And it's about this people and this girl and this boy who both used to live in this apartment house, but the apartment house got condemned. So she's kind of attached to it. He doesn't understand. He's trying to get her to move on. She don't want to move on. And then they find out that they're trapped in this apartment house floating in the ocean. Kind of like that scene in Monty Python, The Meaning of Life, where the accountants take the building and they sail the high seas. That's the way it looked like. And they find a lot about each other. And that I actually liked it better than Bubble. It was a pretty good one. I don't think it's going to win any of my best of animation, but it was very good. I liked it better than Bubble. I think the quality animation was a slight downturn from Bubble, but there wasn't as much action. So, all right. Speaking of schlockaholics, I rewatched The Shackled Demon Project for the 1.5 time.
I was going to say, that's like a monthly thing for you now, isn't it?
Never again. But we covered it on, I think it's our second round of talks on schlockaholics.
Okay.
So if you want, you can either go onto the Schlockaholics channel, which does exist, or you can go onto Mo's channel. I can never remember the darn name. Retro Cold Home Video, yes, because he simulcast on both, and we had a decent talk about it. It was, it's a fun enough film. It's a nice little found footage horror film, indie style, and I don't really have a lot more to say about it because I've
Mhm.
talked a lot about it, and you should go to our channel
Mhm.
and, well, not our channel necessarily, but go to either Slockaholics or to Mo's channel to
Mhm.
do that. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to both because they're great channels. You can see Cody on it and hear his opinion on the Shackled Demon Project. I don't think he watched it as many times as I have, but he did get to watch it for the film, and that was good.
Cool.
All right, now we're back to Full Moon. Decadent Evil 2.
All right.
Decadent Evil 2 takes up again. Well, Vampire Hunter is dead. Spoilers. So now they got to hunt down the big vampire because they want to use the big vampire's blood to bring back the vampire hunter as a undead vampire hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole of it. Then they had to go to another vampire stripper joint because that's what vampires do. They go stripping, and they hunt vampires.
Hmm.
It's kind of a fun thing. I'm not like super psyched on it, but it's could be worse. All right, let's see here. So I did watch that Katy Perry. Speaking of the Dane thing, Katy Perry, Part of Me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It wasn't bad. I was surprised. It was not as bad as I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got a little bit more insight into Katy Perry, her relationship with that guy who was Arthur in the new Arthur remake. What was that guy's name?
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand. And it made Russell Brand sound like more of a dick than he actually is, but or maybe it's made him sound like less of a dick than he actually is. But and how much she was in love with him and all that stuff. And all the stuff that led up to her first tour. And it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jurassic Dead, which you have seen, I think. Didn't you watch that one?
Yeah.
That was one of Dave's horrid two that he did. Aztec Mummy and Jurassic Dead. Thank goodness I got a new copy of Jurassic Mummy, so there's no priority on that one. Sorry, Aztec Mummy. Jurassic Dead is about evil undead dinosaurs that came to life with science and zombie stuff. And then they create other zombies. And then there's a zombie apocalypse, and it's very confusing. But it's not as bad as it's the lesser of the two evils, I guess, when it came to that stuff. But it wasn't a bad, no, it was a terrible film. It was a horrid film.
It was pretty bad.
I collected it only because I collect everything we watch for Inside Movies Galore. You don't have that obligation. Don't buy it. Don't watch it. Don't even look at it. It might come and bite you.
Yeah.
So I watched something called Killer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has a killer with a period at the end of it.
Oh, why is that so expensive?
Not color, Killer. I hate when I'm like, what the heck is that? I want to get
some Vinegar Syndrome, but they're so expensive.
They are. I have to wait till their Black Friday sale before I really work with them.
I'm going to have to wait on that.
I don't even know what Killer was. That just shows you how much of a difficulty it was. I think it was something I was watching for a 2022 thing. But if you know this one, it's Killer with a dot at the end. I really do not know what it is. But I also watched Bad Ben Benign. We are working our way through it. And it was something I watched for the other. But yeah, we're working our way through there. And it wasn't as bad as I remembered it, but it's still kind of there. You can check on the channel. Mo and I did do a discussion on that one. Next month, we're going to try and hit Bad Ben Eulogy, and then we're going to try and catch up for the new one, which is supposed to release next month. And I will be very happy about that. I like the Bad Ben movies, and the ninth one was okay. The 7 pounds 8 ounces was a short film. I thought it was a very good short film. That was one I do know that I watched to try and get through there.
Mhm.
What was it about? But I remember liking it. 7 pounds 8 ounces short.
I know you told me something about that too, but I can't remember.
I feel like it was an animated one. Yes. Okay, it's about this like group of this woman who moves in this neighborhood with her baby,
Mhm.
and they're kind of getting to know each other, and it's got the neighbor who is there, kind of like this wise guy neighbor, and somebody gets pissy with them, and the neighbor steps in. It's not a bad one.
Cool.
Then there was the documentary Her Majesty's Q, which was about the lineup for Queen Elizabeth's death. And that's a short documentary for there. And The Dream Life of Georgie Stone, which was a documentary that chronicled the transition and fight of a teenage woman, trans woman, who's been fighting to try and be who she is. And it's very enlightening, but it can also be very frightening to a lot of people who are very against that. Especially for ones that don't like the idea of start working on transition in their teens. But it was a very heartening story. It's one that I think will be in the running for Oscars later on, probably.
For the Oscars?
I think so. Because it is a short. It is it's on Netflix, I believe. So I think it's going to be. I think it will be in the short running for that. Subject matter alone makes it likely. And that's all I have for that. So I'm going to check on my food, and I'll come back to end us for Across the Universe. But
okay.
But if you'll talk about briefly anime discussion and what we saw in Inside Movies Galore, and I will.
Okay. Well, there's not a whole heck of a lot to cover for these without. Obviously, we like to send people to see the appropriate programs, but of course on this channel we do our monthly anime discussion, and last month we decided to go a little simple, a little easier than before, and just do a movie. And we did the movie Promare, which is our friend of the channel, Brittany, who's on the discussion with us, said that it was basically a ripoff of Fire Force. I haven't seen Fire Force, so I can't comment. But I did feel like it also had a little bit in common with Roger Wave and some other stuff. But essentially, it is a Trigger series. So if you've seen anything by Studio Trigger, especially Kill la Kill, you have a pretty good idea of the visual aspect. It is a visually stunning movie. It is a very... You often see movies called pure adrenaline. Promare is pure adrenaline. It is a nonstop ride, and it's pretty fun, and it has a hell of a soundtrack. And then, of course, we did on Inside Movies Galore. We two of our friends of our channel, Mo and Forrest, were celebrating their birthday months. So Mo gave us a nice twofer from Akira Kurosawa, Yojimbo, the film that got remade as A Fistful of Dollars, and Sanjuro, which is a very, very fun film in its own right. I think for the most part, we kind of enjoyed Sanjuro better, actually, but it's a good, that was a good discussion we had there. And then we had Forrest gave us two very different films. National Lampoon's Animal House, the seminal John Landis film that featured John Belushi, one of the first appearances by Kevin Bacon, and then a whole bunch of other good folks, Tom Hulse and so forth. Some good solid humor and some that hasn't aged as well as we'd like, but still a comedy classic. And we did Batman Mask of the Phantasm, one of the early big hits for the DC animated universe, and a good solid entry that's basically a special for the animated series, but good times. And we did a Second Chances month where we voted on previously covered movies that we'd like to see again. And we did Dark Crystal, which, had a good, lively discussion. And then hand it to you for the last one.
I mean, I was very happy with how Across the Universe turned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was a long discussion, but I felt like we had too little because people just dropped out.
Yeah.
For the first time we covered it. This time it was hit very well.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of people who got to watch it this time. There was a lot of love for it. And I'm kind of glad because it was my favorite film. Still is my favorite film. And it's great to see that it is getting some good stuff. So you should check out that second discussion. It is a long one, though.
Yeah, right.
So did you cover the Animu?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So with that being said, very short one. Next time, I don't know if Jake is keeping track of his October, but
yeah, I don't have as long a list as you do, but I do have some good stuff for.
Yeah, that's my October list so far.
I've got a good list. It's getting better.
So I'm sure we'll both have Creed at least somewhere on that list.
Probably.
So it's going to be fun as we talk Rocky and move things.
Hey, Rosie.
But hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, click that like button, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.